Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Gentle Yoga. Um, some props that you might like to use for class could be a blanket, blocks, strap, maybe a chair, or if you have a wall space. And some way that I like to start class, but this could feel good or not, but you could try it out and you can always veto it. You are in charge of your own experience. So you can make maybe a little blanket roll, and this could go right underneath the heart. Sometimes I think this feels good, and other times it doesn't. So, feel free to try it out. So if you come onto your back with the blanket right underneath the heart center, for me, it's like right underneath where my bra line is. And then you might come into constructive rest with your feet flat on the mat. You could walk them as wide as the mat. Allow the knees to tent together. And then you might either cactus the arms, or maybe you want to rest your hands on your belly. Maybe you could allow your eyelids to gently soften and close. And then just tune in with the idea of the shape. If it's feeling too intense with the blanket roll, feel free to just move that blanket off to the side. Start to sense the rise and fall of your breath, allowing yourself a moment to tune into this present moment. If there is a specific intention that you'd like to cultivate today, you're welcome to bring that intention to mind. In this series, we're taking a journey through the yamas and the niyamas. These are yoga's ethical practices. And in the book by Deborah Adele, we're on the second niyama. And these are basically yoga's instructions on how we can cultivate a best relationship with ourselves. And this practice is called Santosha, which means contentment. So I just have a short reading from the book. She says, in this country, wanting what we don't have has become a contagious plague. Rather than experiencing contentment, we can find ourselves busy getting ready for the next thing. Tossed about by our preferences for what we like and what we don't like, and riding the waves of annoying disturbances. The jewel of Santosha invites us into contentment by taking refuge in a calm center, opening our hearts in gratitude for what we do have, and practicing the paradox of not seeking. So if those words about Santosha, contentment, speak to you, you're welcome to use that as an intention for your practice today. And then when you're ready, if you'd like to start to invite some movement into the body, you might walk your feet as wide as the mat and maybe begin to allow the knees to gently sway from side to side. Any amount. It could be a small movement. You could take it so that maybe the knees fall all the way down towards the ground. You might begin to turn your head in the opposite direction. Allow yourself to follow the pace of your own breath, remembering that anything I suggest is just that, and offering a suggestion, but you have your own free will. Take one more nice deep breath on each side, and then whenever you feel ready, you can come back to center. We'll stretch the arms out wide to the sides and then reach your fingertips up towards the sky. Cross your arms so that your right arm falls on top of your left arm, and then your hands can come towards your shoulders. You might take a moment to rock your torso a little side to side. And if you have that blanket roll there, maybe you could travel, allowing your spine to find different areas of sensation along the roll. Giving yourself a nice big hug. Can you cultivate gratitude overflowing from your heart? And then coming back to pause, you can open your arms out wide to the side once more. And this time, maybe you can find gratitude for someone special, imagining you're going to embrace them in a warm, loving hug. You can bring your arms up towards the sky. This time, cross your left arm over the top of your right. Allow your hands to come and hug your shoulders. And maybe once more, you rock your torso side to side, allowing your spine to receive a little massage from the blanket roll. Slowing your breath. We'll take one more nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, come back to stillness. Open your arms out wide to the sides. And if you have the blanket roll underneath you, go ahead and roll onto one side and we'll remove the blanket, setting it off to the side for later. I'm just going to fold mine up, leave it off to the side. If you have a strap, maybe you could bring it handy. And then if you have a block, you could also have that next to your hips. We'll come back onto our back body, and this time you could hug your knees into your chest. And if it feels like you want to lengthen your arms, you could always use your strap here to help give your arms more length. Maybe you plant your palms on your knees, or just use the strap around the shins and start to draw some circles with the knees, gently massaging the sacrum, the low back. And then we'll go ahead and reverse the direction when you're ready. Allow yourself one more nice deep breath here. And then we'll come back to center. You can pick up your head if you like and stretch your nose up towards your knees. Maybe feeling a little length through the upper back and the neck. On your exhale, gently allow your head to fall back down to the ground, and then we'll move the strap off to the side. Allow the knees to float over to the right, and they can stack there, allowing yourself to come into a twist, turning your gaze over towards your left hand. Allow your shoulders to rest heavy on the earth. And just like wringing out a dish rag, You might just allow your spine to gently find that twist, softly wringing out any tension, any holding. Let's take one more nice deep breath on this side, and then we'll hug the knees back into the chest. Once more, you could lift your head, curling into a little ball, giving yourself a warm embrace, and then allow your knees to gently float over to the left. We'll stack them on the left as you extend your gaze over towards the right hand, allowing yourself to enjoy this beautiful twist, sending your breath to any areas of sensation, noticing if we can practice being right here in this present moment, Santosha, practicing contentment. Let's take one more nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, we'll hug the knees into the chest once more. And this time you might find a happy baby pose, either hooking your hands behind your thighs, walking them up to your ankles, or grabbing hold of your feet. And you might rock a little bit side to side. See if you can practice a little soft, gentle smile. Ananda Balasana, happy baby. You might stretch one leg long as you rock onto the opposite knee. And then we'll bring the soles of the feet towards each other. You can release the feet back down to the earth. We're going to practice some alternating arm lifts and bridge. So bring your hands next to your hips. We'll inhale to lift the arms up and overhead. Reach the fingertips past the ears. And as you exhale, you can float your hands back down towards your hips. Press your palms next to your hips. Press into your feet, and then we'll inhale to lift the hip points up for bridge. On your exhale breath, you can allow your spine to roll back down one vertebrae at a time. And go ahead and follow the pace of your own breath, inhaling to lift the arms and alternating, lowering the arms and then lifting into bridge. See if you can dig into your heels and use the strength of your glutes to lift you upright. The next time we lift up into bridge, you can either hold it in an active bridge, so you might press into your shoulders and maybe shimmy your shoulders underneath the body to interlace the hands underneath you. Or if you have a brick or block, you could slide it underneath your sacrum to come into a supported bridge. And you could alternate, staying active and then maybe finding rest in a supported bridge. If you're in the supported bridge, you might like to try a candlestick pose, reaching your feet up towards the sky. And if you're Reaching your legs up, feel free to rotate your ankles, wiggle your toes. Maybe you could gaze up at your feet, offering them gratitude. Take another nice deep breath wherever you're at. And when you're ready, we'll land the feet back down onto the earth. Press into the heels to lift your hips. Slide the block out from underneath you and then roll your spine back down. And we are going to come up to seated next. So you can roll onto one side and press yourself up into a seat, or you might hug your knees in towards your chest. And if it feels good, you could rock and roll up and down the length of your spine a few times, whatever feels best for you. And then to make your seat more comfortable, you can either use a chair if you prefer to sit in a chair, or you might use your folded blanket. And then we'll find Sukhasana, which they call easy pose, and this is a cross-legged position. So just find yourself in whatever kind of comfortable seat is going to work best for you. And then once you arrive in your seat, take a moment to just pause, tune into your breath, maybe bring your awareness back into your heart space, sensing that glowing jewel, Santosha, contentment. You might imagine a big space, a piece, whatever you could imagine as a peaceful space. And then with your next exhale, allow your head to gently bow towards your heart, feeling a little stretch through the back of your neck. With your inhale, you could sweep your right ear towards your right shoulder, finding a nice gentle stretch along the left side of the neck. We'll exhale to bow once more. And then inhale the left ear over towards the left shoulder. Allow yourself to either move with the pace of your breath side to side, or maybe it feels better to just stay on one side for a few rounds of breath. Giving yourself agency to make those choices. See if you can allow your shoulders to fall away from your ears. Let's take one more nice deep breath on each side. When you feel balanced from left to right, we'll come back to the starting position, bowing your head towards your heart, and then you can roll your shoulders up as you lift your head to neutral. Go ahead and find some nice shoulder rolls, inhaling to glide the shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale, allow them to fall down the back. It might feel good to oscillate one shoulder at a time. Feeling the stretch from the top of one shoulder across the diagonal of your back to the bottom of the opposite shoulder blade. Take one more nice deep breath, just like this, and then we'll come back to center. And let's start to draw the shoulders up from behind and down around in front. So just the opposite direction. Shrugging the shoulders up towards the ears, exhaling to allow them to glide down in front. Take one more nice deep breath like this. And then we'll find neutral. Let's go ahead and extend the right leg out to the right. You might bring your blocks out to frame that leg, and then you can turn to face your right toes. We'll inhale to lengthen through the spine. Exhale to start to lean forward, stretching over your right leg. Maybe bowing towards that leg, perhaps flexing the toes back towards the knee. You could inhale to lengthen the spine and then exhale. Find a little bit more space to fold over the leg. Let's take one more nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, you can walk the hands back into center. We'll bring the torso to center. And then I'm going to prop my block on the right side of my leg. That will be where my elbow can possibly land. So you can bring your right arm to your inner thigh. Maybe reach the left arm up towards the sky, and you might peek up towards those fingertips as you glide the hand down the inseam of your leg, folding over for a side bend. You could also prop your elbow on the block and maybe bring your hand into a fist, allowing your temple to rest. Maybe you gaze up or towards center or down. Find what would feel good for you and your body. Allowing your breath to cascade down the left side of the body. Allow your heart to spiral open towards the sky. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then we'll inhale, bring it all back to center. Reach both arms up towards the sky. Exhale to draw the hands to the heart center. And then you can start to turn your torso into a twist, twisting towards the left knee this time. You can keep your hands here at the heart, or you might release the fingertips down, maybe either pressing your right hand into your right thigh as you twist, or maybe you can stretch it all the way to the left knee. And then I'm going to use a block behind me to rest my left hand, peeking the gaze over the left shoulder. With each inhale, see about lengthening the spine, and each exhale, you might find a millimeter more space for your twist. On your next exhale, allow your head to bow towards your heart, and then your chin can kind of draw a semicircle above your chest. And you can turn just your gaze towards your right toes. Inhale to lengthen the spine, and then exhale to release your twist, coming back to center. You can lean back on your hands and bring your feet out in front, and maybe allow the knees to gently sway a little side to side, shaking that off. And then we'll try the other side. So lengthening the left leg long, you can bring the right foot to the inseam of your left leg. You might bring the blocks to frame your left foot. And then as you inhale, lengthen through your spine. Exhale to fold over your left leg any amount, either walking your hands down onto your leg, onto blocks, or reaching for your feet if you like. With each inhale, see if you can lengthen through the spine, and then each exhale might find a little more space to fold over that leg. Taking some nice deep breaths, soothing your nervous system. Breathing into any areas of sensation you can invite, any tension to release with your exhale. Allow yourself to tune into any subtle differences from left to right. When you're ready, we'll walk the hands back into center. I'm going to flip my block on the left side onto its high setting. You can rest your left arm on the inseam of your left leg. Reach your right arm up towards the sky. Maybe gaze up as you start to tip over towards your left. And you could either anchor your hand down onto your leg, or you might bend the elbow, make a fist to rest your head. You could either gaze upward at your hand, out towards center, or down towards your leg, finding length all along the right side body. Notice where the breath is moving in your body, and see if you can direct it to any areas of tension or holding. I forgot to mention that if it's hard to keep the arm lifted, you could also tuck it behind you and still feel the length along the side of the body from the hip, all along the torso, up towards the shoulder. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then we'll inhale to draw ourselves back up to center. Reach both arms up. Exhale, draw the hands into the heart, and then you can find the twist. Leading with the heart as you turn to the right, you could release your hands, bringing the left hand to the inseam of the left leg, or maybe reaching it across to the right knee. And you might use a block to anchor your hand behind you. Inhale to lengthen through the spine. Exhale to deepen your twist. On your next exhale, you might bow your head towards your heart. Allow your chin to gently graze on top of your chest, or right above the chest. And then maybe you turn your gaze over towards your left toes. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then on your exhale, you can unwind your twist. You might lean back, bend the knees, sway the hips and knees a little side to side. And then it's your choice if you want to stay seated for cat and cow. If you want to stay in a seated cat cow, you might bend the knees or straighten the legs if this feels too much on the knees. And you can inhale to lean the chest forward, exhale to rock on the pelvis and round the spine back. So this would be your seated cat cow, or if it feels okay to be on hands and knees, feel free to even use the blanket to pad underneath the knees. So sometimes I'll unfold the blanket and just make a nice padding for underneath the knees. And if also you wanted to be off the wrists, you could take the blocks underneath the forearms. We'll inhale to drop the belly for cow pose. Exhale to round into the spine for cat. Go ahead and take some nice deep breaths through your cat and cow. After a few rounds of cat and cow, it might feel good to find some other movements here. Maybe you want to circle the hips, wag your tail side to side, or find a nice deep barrel roll, tracing a big circle around with your belly button. Allowing yourself to move in any direction that feels good to you and your body. After a few nice deep breaths in one direction, go ahead and reverse that direction, balancing it out. Allowing yourself to pause anywhere that feels interesting. And then if you are on hands and knees, you might come back to neutral and maybe sink it back for a child's pose. You could always just lay flat on the belly if you prefer, if you don't want to be on the knees. So for child's pose, you can bring the big toes to touch, open the knees out wide, sink the hips back, and walk the hands out in front, lowering your forehead all the way down to the mat. Take some nice deep breaths here. Allowing your heart to melt down towards the ground. Now we're going to find a side bend so you can press up onto your hands. Walk your hands over to the left. I like to make a little pillow to rest my forehead on my forearm. So you could bend your left elbow and then bring your forehead down to rest on your forearm as you reach your left or your right fingertips over to the left. See if you can breathe down the side of your body here. If you're like me and you notice any tension in your forearm, could you allow the weight of your head to massage along your forearm, maybe rocking the head a little bit side to side? almost like shaking the head no. Send your breath cascading from your fingertips along the side of the body all the way down to the hip. And then when you're ready, we'll get ready for the other side. Bringing it back to center, you can press up onto your hands, walk your hands over to the right this time. Maybe bend the right elbow, allow your forehead to rest on your forearm, and then reach your left fingertips long to the right. Give yourself a moment to settle in and notice any sensations arising in the forearm, maybe offering a gentle massage from your heavy head, gently rocking the head side to side. Go ahead and take one more nice deep breath on this side. And then we'll walk it back to center. We are going to come onto our bellies. And I want to give you the opportunity to try out a forearm plank if you like. So you can either stay on the knees, and maybe you want to stretch one leg back, tuck the toes under, or you could stretch both legs back, tuck the toes under, and find a forearm plank either with the knees lifted, or you could gently lower the knees for support. Find that little bit of tremble, the strength in your core. And whenever you feel ready, you can lower down onto your belly. Maybe shake your hips a little side to side, untuck your toes, land your elbows underneath your shoulders, and we'll come into Sphinx pose. Nice back bend. You might take a moment to roll your shoulders up towards your ears and then glide them down the back. As you lift the heart forward, you could traction your hands back. On your next exhale, you might peek your gaze to the left. And then inhale back to center. Exhale, peek your gaze over towards the right. And then we'll inhale it back to center. On your next exhale, stack your palms. Lower your forehead down to the back of your hands for crocodile pose. Allow the heavy weight of your head to rest. And then just notice that area of your forehead, the activity that might be there. Are there any thoughts that no longer serve you? And just like spring cleaning, can you release them? Allowing them to fall out of your mind, transferring down into the earth. On your next inhale, you can lift the head. We'll slide the hands back towards the hips. Start to float your hands and float your legs, coming into a flying superhero position for locust pose. Keep a soft, gentle gaze down at your mat. Use the strength of your spine to lift you upright. On the next exhale, we'll turn the gaze to the right. Soften your left ear towards the mat. If it doesn't quite reach all the way, you could tuck your toes under and glide your body forward to make a little more space to rest your left ear. Breathing down the side of the neck. Maybe a nice, soft, gentle twist. If this is too intense, you can always bring your forehead back down and land it on your hands or on the earth. Take one more nice deep breath, and we're going to try our locust pose one more time. So inhale to bring the gaze center. Start to lift the chest, float the arms, float the legs, coming to balance on the belly. Take some nice, smooth, gentle breaths here. And on your next exhale, you can turn your gaze to the left this time. You might tuck your toes under, glide the body forward. Allow your right temple to rest on the earth or on a block if you need to bring the earth up towards you. Allow your breath to glide down the side of the neck. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then we'll bring the head back to center, plant the palms underneath the shoulders, and you're welcome to press up to tabletop or to plank. And then maybe you want to try a downward facing dog. So I'm going to move my blanket off to the side for this. You might use blocks or a chair if you like for your downward dog. So I'm going to bring my blocks onto actually the medium setting with the heel of my hand right at the edge of the block, making sure that the block is steady. It's not going to fall. You could tuck your toes under, lift your knees, slide your hips up and back, and then just take a moment to stretch, pedal out the heels, sashay the hips a little side to side. Maybe pedal one heel at a time towards the earth. When you're ready, we'll walk either our hands towards our feet or our feet towards our hands to come into a forward fold. If you're using blocks, you might switch them to the high setting or plant your palms on your shins or right above your knees. We'll press into that support to lift the spine up halfway, lengthening the crown of the head forward, keeping a soft, gentle gaze towards the ground to lengthen through the back of the neck. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale here for halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Let's try that one more time. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, that's halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward into Uttanasana. Now go ahead and find a nice micro bend in the knees. Charge up the legs with strength. Press into your legs to press yourself up to stand. And we'll sweep the arms up and overhead, maybe looking up. Exhale, draw the hands into the heart center to come into mountain pose, Tadasana. You can leave your hands right here at your heart, or maybe you want to rest your palms on your heart center. Feel the rhythm of your heartbeat. Maybe you could picture that calm center, almost like the eye of the hurricane. Santosha, contentment. When you're ready, we'll blink the eyes open. We're going to get ready to come into a lunge for warrior one. So for warrior one, I'm going to step the right foot forward. I just have my blocks here that can be helpful for later. So they're framing the front foot. And then you can have your right foot, the right foot's forward, the left foot's back at kind of an angle. And we'll bring the torso forward, maybe bringing the hands to the hips, or you could float the hands to the heart center in prayer position, or you might reach the arms up towards the sky, maybe even looking up for warrior one. Bending into that front knee any amount. Allow the shoulders to fall away from the ears. On the next exhale, we'll reach the hands behind you. You can either tug onto the back of your shirt, or maybe you want to interlace your hands at your low back, or reach for the strap if you need more space. We're going to come into humble warrior next. So inhale to lift the heart, and then exhale, allow your torso to come down and rest on your front thigh, bowing your head down. You could float the hands back behind you, or you could even rest your hands on the front blocks. Take another nice deep breath in your humble warrior. And then we will all release the hands down towards the ground or towards the blocks. We're going to get ready for a balancing pose, warrior three. So now bring your hands out in front, pivot onto the ball of the the left foot behind you. And you could stay right here in the lunge, or maybe you start to walk your hands forward and kick the left foot back. You could stay right here with your hands on blocks, or you might invite your hands to meet in prayer position, balancing on one leg for Virabhadrasana 3, warrior 3 pose. See if you can keep both hips level towards the ground. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to float the left foot to meet the right. Come into your forward fold. You might walk your feet a little wide, making room for your generous belly. And then maybe you want to wrap your hands around your opposite elbows and gently sway a little bit side to side. It's like a rag doll. Lengthening through the back body. Then we'll bring the hands to the blocks or to your shins. Press into support to inhale, lifting up halfway, lengthening through the spine. Exhale to forward fold. Go ahead and try that 2 more times, following the pace of your own breath. The next time you come into a forward fold, we'll spring load the legs. Find strength in the legs to press yourself up into stand. And we'll come to our Tadasana mountain pose. Bring your hands to meet at your heart center, or rest them on your heart. And you might just notice, how has your heartbeat shifted to adjust to that movement. Take one more nice deep breath. Sense your intention, that glow from your heart. You can release your hands to your sides, and then we'll try that same thing on the other side. So we're going to step the left foot forward, the right foot back. And I'll just bring the blocks with me so that we'll have them ready for our humble warrior and our warrior 3. So this time the left foot's forward, right foot's back, coming into your lunge, bending into that front knee any amount. Find comfort and center. You can either keep your hands at your hips, float them to your heart space, or reach them up towards the sky, maybe looking out at the horizon or peeking up towards the sky. Take some slow, nice deep breaths, sinking into your shape. With your next exhale, we can float the hands either to the hips or maybe you interlace them behind you. Getting ready for humble warrior, we'll inhale to lift the heart, exhale to hinge forward from the hips. Allow your torso to come and rest on your front thigh. You can leave your hands interlaced behind you, or you might stretch your arms long if that feels okay for the shoulders. Remember, you can always bring your hands to rest on your blocks or towards the ground. Take some nice, deep, soothing breaths. And this pose kind of reminds us that sometimes life comes along to knock us down. It's important to stay humble. Can we even find comfort in our humility? When you're ready, we're going to come into warrior three next. So we'll pivot onto the ball of the back toes, lifting the heel. And you could stay right here in a lunge. You don't have to do the balancing part. Everything is optional. You could start to walk your blocks forward. Maybe you hop the back foot in, and then you could start to kick the back foot behind you for warrior three. See about keeping the hips level towards the ground, recruiting the strength of your belly. You could keep your hands on the blocks, or you might invite one or both to meet at your heart center in prayer. Take some nice deep breaths. Virabhadrasana 3, warrior 3. On your next exhale, we'll float both feet to meet at the front of the mat. Coming into a forward fold, you could walk your feet kind of wide, leaving room for your glorious belly. Softly, maybe swaying a little side to side in a ragdoll position. Take one more nice deep breath here. And then we'll release the hands down towards the floor or towards blocks or onto a chair. We're going to step it back now into our downward facing dog. You could always choose child's pose instead or a seated position. From here, I'm going to walk you through pigeon pose. And then in the past, we have done on our backs, we've done figure four. So this would be a different option. If you'd like to try pigeon, what you can do is bring your right knee towards your right wrist. Keep the left leg back behind you. And you might start upright. And then I forgot to grab my blanket, but you could also wedge a pillow or a blanket underneath the right hip. So this is an upright version of a stretch for your right hip, and I'll show a different modification in just a moment. So you can stay here in pigeon. You can also allow your torso to come down to rest. You might stack your fists to make a little pillow to rest your forehead. I also have my forearms on blocks. That would be another option. And then if this pose is just not speaking to you today, pigeon pose, maybe you come onto your back instead, finding a wall space or a couch cushion. You can do the same kind of stretch on your back in figure four. So I have my left foot on the couch, my right ankle on my left thigh, and this is to help me so I don't have to physically draw the shape into the body. So finding whichever position works best in your body. Taking some time to breathe into the hip. See if you can listen for the sound of your soothing ocean breath. Take as long as you'd like on this side. If you're in the figure four on your back, you could extend your legs long and shift sides. If you're in pigeon pose, you might come back into a downward facing dog and just allow yourself a moment to recalibrate. And you'll bring your left knee in towards your left wrist for pigeon. Perhaps starting out upright and then allowing your torso to bow forward. Take some soothing breaths, tuning your awareness into the sensations in your body. Take another nice deep breath wherever you're at. And then we'll all meet up on our seats. You can spin the legs around in front, finding the middle of your mat. And we're going to practice boat pose, Navasana. So you could lean your hands back behind you, maybe bend into your elbows, lift your shins. This would be one version. Or you could sweep your hands forward, start to lean your torso back using the strength of your core. Another option would be to sweep your hands behind your shins, or behind your knees, I should say, and maybe lift your shins. So find whatever position is going to work for you. Find that little bit of tremble, shake. And then whenever you feel ready, you can hug your knees in towards your chest. Come back onto the back. Give yourself a little hug. And let's find happy baby once more. Opening the knees out wide or walking the hands up to the shins or the feet. And you might rock a little bit, opening through the inner thighs, gently massaging the back. Take one more nice deep breath in your happy baby pose. And then if there are any last shapes that you would like to explore, or we can come in for our final resting position, Shavasana. Maybe you want to take a bolster for underneath the knees, or you could come back into this original starting position, the, what do we call this? Constructive rest, where the feet are out wide, allow the knees to tent together. You might rest your hands on your belly, closing down the eyes. Release any control over the breath. Just allow the body an opportunity to soothe you. Feel all the places where your body is making contact right now with the earth. Sense the impression that your body makes on the earth, almost like you're resting on a grassy field or a sandy beach. Can you see that unique impression that is you? Notice where you can soften through your forehead, the heaviness of your delicate eyelids. Softening through the hinge of your jaw. Allow your shoulders to rest heavy on the earth. It is not easy in this culture to stay contented. So, how do we get there and how do we stay there? Practicing gratitude protects us from our own pettiness and smallness and keeps us centered in the joy and abundance of our own life. When stimulation pulls at us and disturbance beckons us, it is the gratitude uttered from our own lips that keeps us strongly rooted in contentment. The Buddhists speak of developing an abiding calm, a centeredness that is unshakable. Like a tall tree so rooted in the earth that great winds cannot topple it. This is the image of contentment. It means not riding the waves of up and downs of life. We stay in the abiding calm center that contentment invites us into. In the words of Swami Rama, contentment is falling in love with your life. Bring your awareness now into your heart space. See if you can create an image there of that abiding, calm center of contentment. Knowing you can return to this serene place that you have created for yourself anytime you like. Allow that space to become larger and larger, stretching out into infinity. Allow yourself to pick and notice as many things as you can think of that you are feeling grateful for in this moment. You can begin to deepen your breath. Start to invite some gentle movements into the fingers, into the toes, gently rotating your wrists and your ankles. And then allow yourself to find a long body stretch, reaching your arms past your ears. Whenever you feel ready, you can roll onto one side, cradle yourself in a fetal position. Taking some nice, slow, deep breaths. Whenever you feel ready, you can press yourself up into a seat. We'll invite our hands to meet at our heart centers in a gesture of gratitude, Anjali Mudra. Then allow your head to gently bow towards the wisdom of your loving heart. It's such an honor and a privilege to guide you through your practice this morning. Thank you so much for being here with me. And I'll stop the recording and can chat about any thoughts or questions you have about class.